Hello, dear cinephile friends. Today we recap Sweetheart. Spoilers ahead. Somewhere on a remote island, far from civilization, a young woman lies unconscious on the sand, wearing a life vest. Her name is Jen. As she begins to stir, she notices someone beside her. It's Brad, a close companion, and he's not moving. She rushes to him and, turning him over, sees a shard of coral stuck in his stomach. Panicking, Jen cries out for help, but the only response is the wind and waves. She sheds her gear and carefully drags Brad inland, away from the shoreline. With trembling hands, she removes the coral from his wound and presses a scarf tightly against it, trying to stop the bleeding. She ventures into the forest, finds a coconut, cracks it open with a rock, and hurries back. But when she tries to give Brad a sip, she realizes he's already gone. Jen clutches his face and cries, overwhelmed with grief. This isolated island is a narrow stretch of sand, hemmed in by dense jungle. Wandering in sorrow, Jen eventually circles back to Brad's body. Deeper in the forest, she comes across a clearing where a bag dangles from a tree branch, and nearby, a red cooler sits half hidden in the brush. She calls out once more, hopeful, but silence answers. Inside the bag, she finds old medical supplies and faded items from another time. The cooler holds a few aged soda bottles, but little else. She also discovers a thermos and a metal box containing a deck of cards, matches, and random belongings. There's even an old tent with forgotten items inside, a radio, a children's toy, a handheld game, and a paperback novel. Back on the beach, Jen hears something from a hollow tree. Investigating, she finds it's only a bird nesting inside. She gathers leaves and covers Brad's body, looking out at the endless ocean. That night, a storm rolls in. Jen huddles beneath leaves, using a jacket for warmth. By dawn, she spots a few tiny fish stranded on the sand. As she gathers them, she notices a lifeless shark nearby, ripped in two with strange markings on its flesh. Uneasy, she wonders what could have done such damage. She tries to clean the fish using a flat rock, but the effort is exhausting, and she eventually gives up, returning to the cooler. Her diary is soaked, the words vanished in the water. A photograph of her and her boyfriend stirs bittersweet memories. While exploring the jungle, Jen finds a makeshift grave marked for 3 unknown people. The sight deeply unsettles her. Returning to Brad, now decomposing, she digs a shallow grave near the forest and lays him to rest, marking it with a simple wooden piece etched with his initial. That night, she builds a small fire and roasts fish, enduring her first full night alone on the island. The next morning, she makes a disturbing discovery. Brad's body has been unearthed and dragged away. Something had come during the night. Terrified, Jen sharpens a piece of wood into a makeshift spear and keeps watch, though nothing else happens under the moonlight. Another day passes, and she spots something floating in the water, a suitcase and a pail. She swims to retrieve them and notices a dark pit beneath the surface. Among the recovered belongings are clothing and a pair of shoes. That night, Jen puts on the dry clothes and warms herself by the fire. Examining the metal box again, she finds a hidden compartment with old photographs. As she holds them to the firelight, the sound of an airplane roars overhead. She rushes to fire a flare. It fails at first, but a second attempt succeeds. Just as hope flickers, a tall humanoid creature rises from the sea. Horrified, Jen grabs her weapon and flees into the jungle, hiding as the creature stalks nearby. She stays motionless until it vanishes into the night. Come morning, Jen revisits the photos. One shows a woman standing beside a tree, the same tree Jen had seen before, with eerie glowing shapes in the background. She crafts a raft from the suitcase and life jackets, trying to escape, but the contraption can't hold her weight, and she's forced to abandon the effort. Another night in the hollow tree passes uneventfully until the monster returns. It rolls the trunk with her inside, but she remains silent, and eventually, it leaves. The next day, she catches a small shark, using the fish as bait. That evening, she hangs the shark as an offering, hoping the creature will take it and leave her be. But when she looks again, it's gone. Later, she finds a mutilated corpse floating in the water. Jen hangs this body as bait too, watching from a hidden spot as the creature comes to take it. While hiding, she hears another plane overhead but is too frozen with fear to act. Determined, Jen creates a camouflaged net high in the trees to stay hidden at night. But during a storm, the creature finds her. In a flash of lightning, their eyes meet. Jen lies still, trying not to breathe, but the creature yanks the net down. She falls, grabs her spear, and flees. To her astonishment, the raft carries two other survivors, her boyfriend Lucas and their friend Mia. Overwhelmed, Jen rushes into Lucas's arms, barely believing they're real. They reunite joyfully, and Jen offers them a breakfast of roasted fish and the old sodas she found. As they relax, she warns them of the sea monster. Lucas brushes it off, trying to calm her, but Jen recounts everything she experienced. She even shows them the eerie family photo with glowing eyes in the background. Though skeptical, Mia is unnerved and mentions the graves she saw on the island. Jen tells her that Brad didn't survive, and the monster dragged his body into the depths. Mia walks away, emotional, struggling to grasp what she's heard. Later, the friends sit on the beach. Mia, still shaken, admits the silence on the open sea nearly broke her. Jen insists they should leave while they can, but Lucas disagrees. He doesn't want to risk the ocean again. Jen argues the real danger is on the island. She asks Lucas for his pocket knife to gather supplies. When she opens it, she finds dried blood, a chilling clue that something dark occurred on their raft. Gathering food alone, Jen returns to find her friends distant and evasive. They claim they're too weak to leave. Despite their doubts, Jen remains set on escaping. She quietly prepares the raft, loads it with supplies, and pushes off. But her friends notice. A struggle ensues. Lucas pulls her back, and Mia knocks her out. Jen wakes, tied to a tree. Mia says they've seen no monsters since arriving, and insists the island is safe. Jen begs to be freed, but Mia is unsure whether to trust her. Lucas joins them and, again, denies there's anything dangerous nearby. Jen says the monster lives in the water, not in the jungle. Mia later stumbles upon a freshly shredded fish on the beach, her fear returning. That night, Jen and Lucas argue. He tries to soothe her, then cruelly accuses her of bringing misery wherever she goes. After enduring a barrage of harsh words from Lucas, Jen pushes him to reveal what truly happened to Zach out on the raft, but before he can explain, a piercing scream echoes through the trees. Mia is in trouble. She's been attacked by the sea creature. Lucas snatches a burning branch and rushes toward the source of the scream, leaving Jen tied up at the base of a tree. When he arrives, the creature has already begun to devour Mia. He strikes at the monster with his torch, but it swats him aside with ease. Jen manages to wriggle free and sprints toward the chaos, but she's too late. The beast pulls Mia beneath the waves, vanishing into the depths. Lucas watches in paralyzed horror, unable to help. Jen grabs him and leads him deep into the jungle to find safety as night falls. By morning, Lucas is too frightened to leave the safety of the trees. He fears the creature might be lurking nearby. Jen tries to reassure him, explaining that the monster never shows itself by daylight. Still, Lucas is haunted by what happened and tormented by guilt over Mia's fate. To shift his focus, Jen asks him to help gather supplies. They prepare for what they hope will be their final attempt to escape the island. Jen catches a few fish with a sharpened stick and uses the last of their matches to cook a meal. Before departing, she returns to the old camp to collect a few more items. There, she pauses, holding an empty pill bottle, the silence around her heavy with tension. Later, the two load their belongings onto the raft and push it out to sea. Once they're afloat, Jen notices a crimson liquid inside, likely Zach's blood. She casts a wary glance at Lucas but says nothing. He paddles away from shore, heading in the direction where passing planes might spot them. But soon, something stirs beneath the water. Without warning, the sea creature bursts from below and crashes into the raft. Lucas and Jen take cover inside, but the creature continues its assault, slamming into the vessel again and again. They're terrified. The monster was never supposed to appear in daylight. The beast breaks through the floor of the raft and lunges at Jen, but she kicks it away. Lucas fires his flare gun at the creature's head and jabs at it with a spear, forcing it back into the sea. Water begins flooding through the broken raft. Just as they think they've repelled the attack, the creature resurfaces and snatches Jen, dragging her down. Beneath the surface, its true form is revealed, a grotesque blend of man and shark. It pulls her toward a dark void on the ocean floor. Terrified, Jen remembers the knife in her pocket. She stabs the creature, which releases her and retreats, dark fluid leaking from its wounds. Suddenly, the monster's attention turns to Lucas, who dives in to save her. It grabs him. Lucas fights back with his spear, but the creature drags him down into the depths. Powerless to intervene, Jen breaks the surface and screams, helpless. She returns to the island alone. The ruined raft drifts nearby. That night, she struggles to start a fire and writes a final entry in her journal, recounting the nightmare and her encounters with the creature. She hopes her words might help anyone else who ends up on this forsaken shore, especially if she doesn't survive. But Jen isn't ready to give up. She decides to fight. She gathers dry branches and sharpens them into weapons. She scavenges bones from shallow graves to craft tools. That night, she sets a trap, surrounding a clearing with dry grass and sticks, then lights it when the creature appears. Confused and disoriented in the flames, the monster thrashes about. Jen steps out from her hiding place and attacks with a spear. She strikes again and again, but the creature hurls her aside. Refusing to quit, she continues her assault, targeting the monster's earlier wounds. After a brutal struggle, Jen tries to crawl toward another weapon, but the creature grabs her, crushing her head in its enormous hand. Summoning the last of her strength, she jabs a shard of wood into its chest. Over and over, both are bloodied and broken. Still, the monster chases her to the shoreline. There, Jen makes one last stand, but the beast collapses, too weak to continue. Jen finishes it, impaling the creature and severing its head. As the sun rises, she limps back toward what remains of the raft, carrying the severed head as proof of what she faced. Behind her, the island smolders in flames, her final signal, a desperate hope that someone, somewhere, will see it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for others movies recaps.